Colin Cowherd sounds off. In a good way, though. He had some great things to say about Lamar Jackson, had some great things to say about this Ravens team, and I'm going to give you the rundown of it, talk about points that I agree with, talk about points maybe I don't agree with. Well, thanks so much for being here. This is Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Joey Petersen. Before we get into anything that Colin Cowherd said, we are in the heat of a subscriber battle. And we are 2 days away from it being over and it being Sunday. And we've taken the lead over the Cincinnati Bengals. It is close, though. We don't have the lead by much, just 2 subs. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're here and you're already subscribed, that's great. Send it to someone you know who isn't and who you think would like this content. And if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. It's free. You get a video every single day. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. So I saw this clip pop up on my Twitter a couple days ago, and I loved it at the time, and it popped up again for me yesterday. And really listening to it for a second time, I just thought it was too good to not talk about. It was too good not to share, not to make a video over, because Colin Cowherd, after that game against Buffalo, had some really great things to say about Lamar, and I think they're things that we as a fan base have been screaming for years. And it's just really nice to have a talking head, a national media personality, say the same thing. So here's what Cowherd had to say the morning after the win against Buffalo. He said, "I don't want to hear that he can't win big games. In the last calendar year, he's destroyed the 49ers, Cowboys, Buffalo, Dolphins, Houston twice, Seattle, and Cincinnati. He's winning big games. He hasn't beaten Mahomes." And that's kind of what I want to start off, because that's the thing you always hear with critiques about Lamar is you hear a lot of times, okay, he can't win the big ones, and we could easily disprove that, right? Just like Cowherd just did. But the thing about it is he hasn't beaten Mahomes. But you got to ask yourself the question, okay, who has beaten Mahomes? If you're just judging quarterbacks and their greatness based on how they do against great opposing quarterbacks, look at Manning's record against Brady. It's not that great, right? And look at Mahomes' record against Brady. It's not that great either. If you just judge someone's record against who they're playing against at that point that is the greatest quarterback in the NFL, of course it's not. If that's how we judge every quarterback in the NFL, then there would be no good quarterbacks except Patrick Mahomes. And then the other point I have about this is someone can't do anything until they actually do it, right? So it's not like he can't beat Mahomes. He just really hasn't. And we know that he has, but he hasn't done that consistently yet. But I hear this all the time in sports. And you hear this all the time in sports, right? This guy can't win a title. This guy can't win the big one. This guy can't win a playoff game. This guy can't win a Super Bowl. Well, that's true until they do it, right? The fact that they haven't done in the past has no effect on whether they will do it in the future. So just because he hasn't consistently beaten Patrick Mahomes in the past, that doesn't mean that's going to continue on, right? Everybody can't do anything until they actually do it. Do you get what I'm saying? And so this all leads into me and you just agreeing that Lamar Jackson is the most disrespected player in the NFL. That's what I think. Do you guys agree with me? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's YouTube video, and you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. So to make that time go by faster, scroll down to the comment section and reply this for me. If you think yes, type Y, and if you think no, type N. It's simple, guys. It truly is simple. He's the most disrespected player in the NFL. And it's not even close. If you look at what he's done to the sport, not just statistically, but the way he's changed the game is unlike, he's like the Steph Curry of this modern NFL. He does things that nobody else can do, and he does it better than anybody else who tries to do it. And teams have tried to mimic this, right? They've tried to draft quarterbacks who are dual threat, like a Justin Fields, or like an Anthony Richardson. Well, how have those guys panned out, right? He's the cream of the crop when you talk about that kind of thing. And the fact that he's 21-1 against the NFC as a starter in his entire career, I think speaks volumes on his level of play. Because those are against teams that don't play him every year, right? The Steelers, they're able to game plan a little bit better against Lamar than other teams are because they see him twice a year, every year for his entire career. But when you face an NFC team, kind of at random, like you did against the Cowboys, right, and like you're going to against the Commanders in about a week and a half, those are teams that aren't really used to playing him. They haven't really played him before. It's a whole new game plan, and he's a guy you just straight up can't game plan for. He's not. And we talk about the national media and the view that they have on Lamar. And outside of Colin Cowherd, honestly, it's not that great. You hear lots of guys saying, leading up to this Buffalo Ravens game, like, okay, Josh Allen is the far better quarterback. And Emmanuel Acho is no different, right? He had this to say before Buffalo and Baltimore squared off. He said, Josh Allen is a scarier football player than Lamar Jackson. Josh can run almost as good, and Josh can throw way better. Okay, first off, I'm embarrassed of myself for bringing Emmanuel Acho quote on here. If I ever bring an Acho, either Sam or Emmanuel, for the rest of my time as a host on this channel, you have all the excuses in the world to comment fire Joey as many times as you can. But this made me so upset because first off, it's just blasphemous, right? You cannot say Josh is a way better player than Lamar Jackson. You also can say, even saying Josh runs almost as good as Lamar does is ridiculous. He's a great dual threat quarterback for his level of dual threat quarterback, right? He can hurt you with his legs, but he can't hurt you in the same way Lamar does. Well, we all know how Sunday night went. Absolute ass whipping. And then Emmanuel Acho came back on Monday. This is what he had to say, right? My conclusion is the Ravens were able to make so many of those plays and dominate because of a lack of talent that the Bills would usually have. And so there it is, guys. If something happens that you didn't think would happen, then you just go ahead and make excuses for why it happened. Emmanuel Acho couldn't look at the people and say, hey, I was wrong. No, he had to go and say, oh, the Bills didn't have the talent. Well, you knew who they had going into the game on Sunday, and yet you still picked the outcome that wasn't the actual outcome. So then you got to walk it back. And Lamar, in this 2024 season, I'm not going to sit here and say he's been the best quarterback in the entire NFL, and nobody's better than him, because he's had his fair share of struggles. And against Kansas City, against Las Vegas, he missed his fair share of throws. But then against Dallas and against Buffalo, he wasn't asked to do much. But what he was asked to do, he's been phenomenal with, right? He just has a different role this year. And I think that is a good thing. And I think it takes a special kind of quarterback to assume the role that he's been given this year, right? Because a lot of guys with their big egos and big heads and me attitude, they wouldn't want to only pass the ball 33 times in 2 straight games like against Dallas and like against Buffalo. But that's what makes Lamar great, is because not only he's talented, but he's a leader. He does what the team needs to do to win. And he knows that handing the ball off to Derrick Henry or Justice Hill 40 times a game is going to get a W. He's going to do that. Before I go on and keep talking about how great I think Lamar Jackson is, if you want to see him in person, use our friends here at GameTime. GameTime is the place to go for the best seats at the lowest prices guaranteed. And if you're so excited that the football season's here and in full swing and want to get tickets to the big game lockdown, you're going to want to give GameTime a shot. GameTime is the only place I go when I'm trying to get tickets to any college football or NFL game. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The tool highlights the best deals, including great and amazing deals, which are the highest value seats at the time. For some events, GameTime Picks also identifies a super deal, which is the best seat value in the venue. Guys, tomorrow I am headed to Fayetteville, Arkansas to watch my Tennessee Volunteers take on the Arkansas Razorbacks, and I got my tickets through GameTime. It was so easy. You get to see the view from your seats. You get the lowest prices guaranteed. And, I just cannot express enough how this is the best ticketing app on the entire app store. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account or redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? It is game time. So back to this fact that he has this different role, right? Because I want to talk about this just a little bit more. Because, like I said earlier, it takes a special guy to have the stats that he has over these past 4 years when it comes to passing yards, passing touchdowns, and rushing yards and rushing touchdowns to take, I don't want to say the back seat, but I just think the side seat to Derrick Henry. Because this offense this year seems like it's one of those trucks that just has a bench seat. And where it was Lamar driving it and whoever else in the passenger behind him, I think this year it's more like Lamar and Derrick Henry in the front together. They're on that bench seat together. And it takes a special quarterback to kind of dial your roll back just a little bit. Now, there will be games where we ask Lamar, hey, go throw the ball 40 times. Go throw the ball 35 times, right? But some games we're going to say, hey, you're going to throw it 15 or 18 times. And we've already seen that. And I think my point of today is just don't listen to the national media, unless it's Colin Cowherd, of course, talking good about Lamar Jackson. But just don't listen to the national media. They don't know what they're talking about. They cover these teams on a very surface level basis. All they're doing is just trying to generate clicks and views and likes, and they don't have actual analytical, statistical, deep knowledge on the football teams that they're talking about, like I do here on Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. So my last question for you guys of the day, I mentioned Lamar's NFC record, 21-1 as a starter. Little trivia. Who is his lone NFC loss to? Who is it? If you think you know it, let me know in the comment section down below. I also think that Lamar, the reason that he gets such the national hate that he does, is he has a disadvantage of just having one of the best defenses and this year running backs in football, right? I think the fact that his defense is so good and was the number one defense in the NFL last year, I think a lot of people are like, okay, he can't be that good of a quarterback. They're winning because of the defense. But look at what the Chiefs did last year. Any pretty much regular season loss they had, and a lot of what they were able to do in the playoffs was because of their defense. But no one seems to mention that, right? But when it's Lamar, it's like, oh, he just piggybacks off a good defense and off of good running backs. And so it's just frustrating, and I wanted to air it out with you guys because I know you're just as frustrated as I am because we know how special number 8 is, and we're so thankful to have him. Now, before I go, let's do a little AFC North standings recap. We're 2 days away from these games being played and things getting shaken up even more. As we sit right now, Steelers are number 1, Ravens number 2, Browns 3, Bengals are number 4. And the odds have shifted since last weekend at who's most likely to win the division because our boys in purple are back on top. 52.3% chance to win the AFC North. Steelers sitting second, 32.2%. Bengals at 1-3. They're at 13.9%. And the poor Browns, 1.6% chance to win the AFC North. Thanks so much for tuning in today, guys. Wow, voice is getting lost. I got to get some throat coat. We got a watch party on Sunday. But thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. We want to beat the Bengals in the sub battle, so if you're still here, you're still watching, you haven't subbed yet, do it right now.